What you know about rolling down in the deep? When your brain goes numb, you can call a mental freeze. When these people talk too much, put that shit in slow motion. Yeah, I feel like an astronaut in the ocean. Yeah. What you know about rolling down in the deep? When your brain goes numb, you can call a mental freeze. When these people talk too much, put that shit in slow motion. Yeah, I feel like an astronaut. She says that I'm cool. I'm like, yeah, that's true. I believe in G-O-D. Don't believe in T-H-O-D. She keep playing me down. I'ma play her for fun. You don't really know my mental.
Hi, this is John Cullen. Welcome to another episode of Web of Deception. This is episode number 20, and I'm joined once again by Jason Goodman. Jason, thanks again for taking time to help everybody understand this complex web of deception. Number 20 milestone, major milestone, Memorial Day weekend 2024.
Yes.
And in last week's show, we took a look at some of the social engineers in the General Flynn circle, and this week our thumbnail is taking us in sort of a different General Flynn direction. I'm going to do a little bit more with the FBI Lawfare. So what can you tell us about tonight's show, who we have in the thumbnail, and sort of help people understand? So, last week we talked about this. This week's a little bit different because, and this is getting into some of this FBI stuff and Comey and that. So help everybody understand what we're going to get into tonight, if you would.
Yeah, a lot of people saw I had this encounter with Norm Eisen outside the court, and now I think 1.5 million people have seen that tweet. And, Norm, he's on MSNBC, but he's kind of one of these talking heads who blends into the background, and he's not exactly super well known. I mean, I think a lot of people know who General Flynn is and who James Comey is. These guys were in the news quite a bit, but Norm Eisen, not really as much. And he is really an architect of the lawfare that's been waged against President Trump. Now, we called tonight's episode the FBI Lawfare and the Flynn Intel Group. And see, this word lawfare, I'm talking about it so much because I think it's a concept that a lot of people are not that familiar with and don't fully understand. Obviously, people hear it.
Waking up to because of what's going on with President Trump now.
Absolutely.
So again, like 3 years ago, I think there was like zero awareness. You were talking about it. But now that the president's going through it and talking about it and promising if he gets elected, he's cleaning up the DOJ, now there's a very high awareness of something that you've been tracking now for 7-8 years. So I think people are, paying very close attention now. I mean, come on, the fact that you're what's his name? Norm? Is that his name?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the fact that your tweet on that got 1.5 million views. I was concerned. I said, I'm not sure everybody knows who this guy is,
right,
and what he's done, and why should we potentially be upset with him?
Yeah.
Who is it? What did he do? Right. So I think it makes sense to take a closer look at this, the connections with Comey, with this faction inside of Brookings, this Lawfare Institute inside Brookings, with this Ben Wittes character, who's a colleague of, what's his name? The guy who does all the Vegas stuff, who says MBS has lost his mind. Bruce Riedel. So Bruce Riedel and Ben Wittes work together at Brookings, but this Lawfare Institute is like a little corner area inside of Brookings.
Well, I think it would be called a related entity in nonprofit terms, because there's even an area, like whenever, I am far from an expert on any of this, but just like if you went to work for a master, blacksmith or something, and you're there, hosing off the heated up stuff, you'd learn something about blacksmithing just from hanging around the shop. And so that's sort of like Charles, and I know which sticks go where and that kind of thing, but I can't do the kind of research that he does. But even just the cursory examinations of some of these things, you start to see, they're sending money to their houses, and then all the rest of the payments are going to P.O. boxes. In the case of General Flynn, he's got all these different nonprofits where his brother is the director, and you've got money going to this LLC and that. So basically, I mean, most people I think watching us now probably have seen this tweet. Basically tell Norm that you are the architect of this. You're the guy who coerced Michael Cohen. Him and his crew, his Lawfare crew, came up with this scheme to coerce Michael Cohen to pay Stormy Daniels out of his own money. And that is basically what Bob Costello has testified to. Right. And by the way, that makes the whole thing make sense. What they are trying to do, forcing this legal square peg into a round hole, really doesn't make sense, and it requires a lot of energy. What I dropped on Norm in this 60 seconds really consolidated the most sensible explanation of what is going on into this 60-second rant of public shaming this guy who deserves shame. And so
take us back. Take us back to the young Norm. So this is Norm Eisen.
Yeah.
And assume that you just met somebody who says, I have no idea who this, I've never seen him before. Who is this guy? Where did he come from? Why is he even part of this thing? How did he get to be part of this thing? So take us back, if you would, because clearly he's a key character. The fact that you confronted this guy outside the courthouse and it gets 1.5 million views on a tweet is a big deal. And you picked up you probably doubled your tweet followers.
More than
right?
that. And that's actually the bigger deal, not from the ooh, rah, rah, fancy social media following. That's remarkable because it went from about maybe 6.4 thousand Twitter followers to 18.7. And it's not even been a week since I confronted Norm. So by the way, welcome to all of the new followers on X. People, they should be able to watch this video on there right now. Let's see. Yeah, we should have lots of people join us. There we go. So we've got 105 viewers on X. I don't know if people know this. When you're watching a live stream on X, if you click right here, you get the chat. You have live chat there.
Which is great. You had 2,400 people watching you live in Crotona Park when President Trump was there, and you're walking around in the Bronx. 2,400 people were watching live on Twitter, which was really cool. Yeah. So if you would,
but wait, stop there for a second, because this is the thing. Yeah. I don't want to just throw around these numbers to make people think like, hey, we're getting all these views. This is part of what we're talking about tonight. See, the fact that this bubble in the hose has just extended out so much. This is all this pressure of all this information they've been restricting through this pipe I'm trying to get to people, and it just ballooned out like this. That's what these numbers show us, the 18,000 following, the 2,000 watching that. Yeah. And see, they hate that because as long as you and
often it's a glitch. Something went wrong and you were allowed to triple your following. Somebody just got yelled at. Your following on Twitter just tripled. Yeah. Somebody just got lambasted.
I think that's right.
What do you mean? And they said, well, yeah, but when we did the upgrade of the Twitter thing, and the guy said his following just tripled. That's the whole idea is not to have that happen, not to have any of your tweets get 1 million views. That's what the whole program's about, is to not have that happen. And every now and then, one or two of your things, one or two of my things, slips through the cracks. And all of a sudden I get a video that gets 180,000 views. And that hasn't happened in years, right? So the strange things happen from time to time. And I love it. But I think a lot of people want to understand the background of this guy. How does he get into the fray? And where does he fit in the mix of the characters that we have in tonight's show in the thumbnail? So for those who aren't familiar with Norm Eisen, who are you, Norm, and how are you famous? Can you give us sort of Give us the 3-minute CV of Norm Eisen. Who is this guy?
I haven't gone much back past his college, but it's interesting to note that he was educated at Hollywood High School in Los Angeles. That's probably a high school filled with maniacs, and he's working at his family's hamburger stand. That's interesting. I'm going to be interested to find out about that.
Hamburgers.
That should be looked into.
I like hamburgers, and if they make
I
good
do
shakes. So we're going to cut him a little slack. So he gets a BA. Where did he get his BA? At Brown. Ivy League. Okay, 1985.
Well, but the thing is, he goes to Harvard Law School, and he's friends with Obama when he's at Harvard. And
so there you go.
So
there you go.
He was involved with the ADL, which, a lot of people, like when I was growing up, were told that the ADL, sorry about that, we got the real bad air conditioner there. But in other words, look, when you grow up in New York and you're Jewish, you're told that the ADL is a good thing. But they have done quite a bit to suppress the First Amendment, and it's not surprising to see that Norm had a role there, because we sort of get a sense for what this guy thinks justice is. It's whatever he wants. So the ADL, if they decide they don't like you, like I could say something, and even though I'm Jewish, the ADL could potentially crush me, and in fact, it's the type of thing that they love to do.
It says he was an ambassador. Can you take a look at that upper right?
To the Czech Republic. He was the ambassador to the Czech Republic. So that's a pretty important position. He
Under
also
Obama,
was...
Right. So Obama gives him an appointment. So that's like a gift. When somebody says, so now, can you show us the U.S. Embassy in the Czech Republic just for a second? I want people to understand what happens when you get this job as ambassador. When you get the job as ambassador, they basically hand you the keys to the embassy, and you're now in charge of the embassy, and you are now working for the State Department.
Don't they also give you a mansion too?
That's what you're about to see. We're going to go take a look at the place. So let's take a look at the U.S. Embassy in Czechoslovakia, or the Czech Republic.
Czech Republic, yeah.
And the U.S. Embassy in the Czech Republic, and let's take a look at that. So this is where he gets to go live and work. And he's now an employee of the State Department.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that's right.
Okay, so now you're an employee of the State Department.
Yeah.
And guess who else you share that building with in the
CIA.
Czech Republic? All the spooks, right? All the spooks. And that's kind of his entree to this world of, we were just looking at Jay Leno's mansion, and Jay Leno's looking at this and going, damn. That's sweet. That's a nice gig. All right.
Yeah.
So Obama wins the presidency and you get to be the ambassador to the Czech Republic. Do you understand that like 80% of the porn stars are from the Czech Republic? Like all the good-looking ones, right? All the good-looking porn stars are from the Czech Republic, right? So
that's funny.
This is a nice gig if you're a single guy for sure. I don't know if he brought his family with him or not.
I think he's married to a dude, but you know what's interesting?
Oh, really?
I was like, what the hell? Is this a
That's
Mach-E Mustang? Because it looks like it is. And I'm like, what is that doing in the Czech Republic? But it seems like they always have some sort of fancy American car out in front of the thing. Look at that.
There you go. Cadillac. That's that's...
yeah, so they seem to... Anyway, but the point is, Norm is obviously a close friend of Barack Obama, kind of like our buddy Adam Sharp there, right? He knows Obama quite well.
Or at least it looks like they dance beautifully together. I mean, you don't know if they talk after the dance, but it looks like they've got the tango down. I mean, certainly they look fond of each other.
So Norm also was the co-founder of this Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington, which was the group that created that Lawfare action to try to get Trump off of the ballot in Colorado.
There you go.
And people might remember that I spoke to the current director of Crew, a guy named Noah Bookbinder. That's another one of these 501c3 nonprofit things where they're getting money, they're paying their people with tax-free money. So Noah Bookbinder earns probably 30 to 40% more than he would be able to if that thing needed to pay had to pay taxes. and they're doing all kinds of political partisan stuff that they're not supposed to be doing. Now, this tells us, and of course this is Wikipedia, so it's really full of crap, but this says that Norm earned the nickname Dr. No for his stringent ethics and anti-corruption efforts. And he became known for limiting registered lobbyists from taking positions in the administration. That sounds to me like he was selecting only lobbyists who he liked, but I don't know.
I think the interesting part here is that this is the guy whose organization, Crew, is the organization that starts the legal process of getting Trump removed from the ballot. In other words, if we can't beat him in the poll, on election day, let's get him off the ballot so you can't even vote for the guy. Then we might win. And like, what kind of... this is like sabotaging the other guy's car before the race. It's like, so he doesn't show up to the starting line.
That's all they do.
And apparently, and again, these tactics may not have been this apparent in the past. It might have been stuff that people weren't that aware of, but Trump is making people aware of the lawfare. He's using the word. He's using the word lawfare. So people are now going, isn't that the same thing Jason's been talking about for the last 7 years, right? I mean, that's kind of the same thing. And now they're doing it to the president? Mm-hmm. Now they're, quite. Yeah. And they're doing it in multiple venues, right? And so you've got, it's not just this Norm Eisen character. Turns out he might be a bishop or a knight or a rook in the game, but he's not the queen. He's not the king. He's not the big player here. He's just another one. We've got Comey. We've got Ben Wittes. We've got General Flynn. I see Felix Sater up there.
Well, but wait a second. Before we move off of Norm, the reason why we're talking about him again today is because...
That's not Elton John. That's Valerie Caprone? No, I thought it was Elton John for a second. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's Valerie. I'm sorry.
No, but the reason why we wanted to start with Norm is because it does seem that my video encounter with Norm and the subsequent large amount of attention that it got, well, see, that's only part of it. Because the other thing that happened, like I think the next day or maybe even the same day, was that down at the Thomas Paine Park, right near where the courthouse is, I also met and spoke with Felix Sater. Now, we've spoken about Felix Sater in the past, but he was kind of a ghost, and there wasn't so much known about him other than what was written. And to be able to have him there and ask him questions, it was quite a rare opportunity and super interesting because, I think he might not have answered all my questions truthfully. He says he never lied. I don't know if he did or didn't answer truthfully, but the fact is, when you're communicating with someone and you get them into a flow like that and they start to, answer it all, I think that there is a tendency for them to sometimes maybe go beyond and say stuff that they maybe didn't mean to say. Like Dershowitz, when I interviewed him, I think said a bunch of stuff that he decided they needed to mitigate after the fact.
There's something about your demeanor that they want to impress you somehow, intellectually. There's something about the fact that you're a little bit, it's like you give off a certain demeanor that you just don't really give a hoot that's Felix Sater. It's like, dude, I don't care how many frickin' missiles you brought back from Afghanistan. I'm not, what am I going to run away? So that approach kind of leads him to want to push his chest out a little bit and tell you, well, I did bring back 12. When we go to the patron-only portion of the show, I want you to play this interview with Felix Sater because he's such a key character in the attempted takedown of Donald Trump. He's such a key character in the TWA 800 story.
Right.
He's a key character in the whole Valerie Caprone family of prosecutors with his special deal that he got with Weissman.
Right.
This is this may not be James Bond, but this might be Felix Sater, right? So this might be...
But there's been a tectonic plate shift this week because you're right. It was definitely an unusual and interesting opportunity, and I don't know what causes. I'll tell you what I would probably think is, first of all, I appreciate the complimentary nature of what you've just said, but I have a feeling it's maybe more related to these guys thinking, oh, I can go talk to Goodman and get through an interview with him and not blow anything. In fact, I'm going to wind him up and have him so confused by the time we get done. You don't think so?
Nah. He's trying to impress you a little bit, just a little bit, and he knows you're not impressed. And so he's not, it's like the old Milton Berle joke. He's only trying to take out enough to impress you, but he shares too much. It's like, dude, you just told everybody you brought a dozen Stingers back from Afghanistan.
And he confirmed that they were used to shoot down TWA 800. I don't know if he knows or not.
He confirmed that he believes. He confirmed that he believes that would be the case. So these are heavy pieces of reporting here. And again, I think after the fact, I think you're right. I think he might have said, you know what, I might have said too much here. And he had his attorney there, and the attorney was not comfortable.
Not at all.
With what was going on. Not at all. So the attorney was right there. The attorney was not comfortable. I want to go through this again with the patrons. When we go to the patron-only portion of the show in a second here, I want to go through this because he's such a key character. The Trump Tower Moscow had to have been a key piece in what they were attempting to do to take him down. So I think he's important. You can't just, I think everybody's guilty of this, of just, we accumulate evidence and we put it in the evidence room and we don't
look at it.
We don't revisit the evidence. Some of the evidence is more important than other evidence. And I think Felix Sater and this, because in many ways, because of the Andrew Weissman deal.
Exactly.
Because of the deal, that makes this guy an important character. How many other people have got a deal like this? I don't think,
They're
2 dozen. I don't think there's 4. I don't think you got 48
there's no way
people
that we'll
got a
ever
deal like
know.
that.
But the thing is,
he's one of the key guys. I think he's one of your key guys here in all this. In the takedown of Trump, I think Felix Sater played a key role. Whether he knew it or not, I don't know. I don't know if he willingly did.
Well, I mean, this is what's her name was getting all bent out of shape about, is that, let me get this agreement here.
The Dairy Barn chick?
The Dairy Barn Julie was getting very upset. Now, why? New documents.
I don't understand if Dairy Barn Julie is pro Felix Sater. Like, does she think he's like a hero?
Very pro Felix Sater. So the thing that's basically come out of this, like I'm not trying to be the world's biggest expert on Felix Sater or anything like that. The reason I am aware of him is because a lawyer that was introduced to me by Jared Beck to represent me in the Emmys case, and Jared Beck, of course, was introduced to me by George Webb. But this lawyer, he also represents Felix Sater.
He only also represented Felix Sater. So at the time, you became client number 2.
Right.
It's not like he had 16 clients, one of whom was Felix Sater.
It's interesting. I used to be able to find this quite quickly.
Yeah, so he had Felix Sater as a client, and then you come along, and you're referred to him through a George Webb referral network.
Yeah.
And now he's got you and Felix Sater. And this is what I'm saying. I think Felix Sater is more important than the average character in this backstory that we've been investigating.
The complicated aspect is I'm just not sure that he played like a direct role. And this is in part why
he may have been played himself, right? They play him. He doesn't even know he's being controlled, right? I mean,
here's the thing. Here's the crux of it. I can't find this 1998 document. What's going on? Are they trying to remove it? I mean, I know I have it saved on other computers and stuff, but normally I used to just type it in. It would come right up, and now it's not. Here's the crux of it, John. Felix said to me in that interview in the park, and he was adamant about this, and Dairy Barn Julie also made a point of saying this. He's not an FBI UCO. He was recruited by the Defense Intelligence Agency. So he's a DIA asset, and that is Army intelligence. And so the thing is, if he's Army
intelligence, the missiles, that would explain the stingers.
Yes.
I mean, how the hell?
But wait a minute.
Right? How do you get into Afghanistan chasing down stingers?
That's all fine. But if he's Army intelligence, I'm very troubled by the fact that this document is like nowhere to be found right now. What the hell is going on with that? I'm going to have to go to my laptop and retrieve the copy of it because I want everybody to see it. It's signed in 1998. It's Andrew Weissman. The key is, if he's a DIA asset prior to 1998, which he says he was, remember, he's put in jail for stabbing a guy in the face for assault, 1991. We don't really know a lot about what happens to him between 1991 and 1998. And my point is, if the guy is a DIA military asset, what is a military intelligence asset doing signing an agreement with the Department of Justice and getting involved in my civil litigation cases? That seems like a violation of the Posse Comitatus Act, which prevents the government from using the military in civilian law enforcement operations. And I just found out about this the other day because it came to me and I was like, there's got to be some reason why you can't do this. Let me talk to Senator Black, because he was a JAG officer in the Marines, I believe, and he's a lawyer. And he said, yeah, it's a violation of the Posse Comitatus Act, which was passed in 1878, and it removed the military from regular civil law enforcement. It was enacted in response to the abuses resulting from the extensive use of the Army in civil law enforcement during the Civil War and the Reconstruction. So it seems like, I don't know, this hasn't been proven in court yet, but it seems like just signing this agreement with a military intelligence asset, it would seem to violate every premise of everything. And just to revisit this TWA thing for a minute, because again, it's not about Felix Sater and Trump. It's about their use of a military asset who has a 25-year history. And when I asked him about this TWA explosion, and I asked him if one of these missiles that he was tracking was used to shoot the thing down, he said, of course. Now, did you know that this visualization of the plane being destroyed was created by the CIA? Isn't that strange? No. Why would the CIA create an animation to explain how the thing exploded? And by the way, the official explanation, now what's this? This is somebody else's animation. This is not, no. This is something different. All right. I didn't have this part prepared, but the point is the CIA created an animation to support their theory that, truthfully, this is the CIA animation. The first thing that we saw looked like it was actually tracking all these unknown objects that other people have spoken about. But the CIA created an animation that supported the theory that a loose wire in the fuel tank of the TWA 747 caused it to explode. Now, keep in mind, jet fuel is extremely stable. You could stand in a vat of jet fuel and drop a match on it, and it will not light on fire. This is a simulation that someone else created. It's not the CIA animation that I was thinking of. I want that CIA animation. Where is that? Here's the CIA animation. So this CIA animation just says there was a spontaneous explosion in the fuel tank and the plane kept moving up, except that every single, aircraft engineer says that's not how aerodynamics works. There's no way the thing continues to travel up once the nose cone cracks off. And just none of this makes any sense. Also, the NTSB...
There's eyewitnesses.
Not just eyewitnesses, 250 eyewitnesses that are described as being extremely consistent.
McBride.
Right.
Joe McBride, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Joe McBride was an eyewitness. Yeah. So
the point that we've discovered this week, because we've got to break and go to the sponsor exclusive segment. We're going to get into this, and people are going to want to watch this on subscribestar.com/IamJohnCullen, patreon.com/IamJohnCullen, odyssey.com/@crowdsourcethetruth, crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com, and Subscribestar and Patreon. But the reason why this is so important is because this raises yet another extremely important question that hasn't even been addressed by this dunce Julie, which is how could they even enter into an agreement with a military asset if they are the civilian Department of Justice? And what is anything that a military asset has done for the Department of Justice? How is it not in violation of the Posse Comitatus Act? And if I'm correct, and Felix Sater and Jonathan Snyder knew about this case and were brought in specifically to effectuate a lawfare, an offensive lawfare attack against me, how is that not a violation of the Posse Comitatus Act? And how is the United States government not indebted to Jason Goodman for the 7 years of my life that have been stolen, the literally millions of dollars that would have been earned in that time? I don't know what's going to happen, but we'll be back, John, in just a moment. I really hope that people will join us because there's some breakthroughs. I haven't even shared all of this with you yet, but people are going to be blown away by this. There's tons of stuff about Flynn, the Flynn intelligence group, all those people we had there, Patrick Berge, Julie Lewis, George Webb.
Flynn unblocked you this week. Flynn unblocked you from Twitter.
And why did he do
had some
that?
Interaction. Reblock. I mean,
wait.
Clearly,
let's focus on that for a second.
Yeah,
because he did
his
unblock
attention.
me.
Yeah, he unblocked.
Why did he unblock me? Why did he unblock me?
Because of the Felix Sater, Norm Eisen revelation. You're
not Norm.
So Felix Sater. And the
not even
agreement.
Felix.
Because
no,
it's the agreement. No, what do you think?
Well, not directly. I think it is the agreement, but the video that he interacted with was a video from months ago of me.
Which one?
Calling out Andrew Weissman at NYU. Now, I don't know if you remember that video. Let's just play this real quickly because this is important.
I remember this. Yeah, I remember this.
Ask questions, and let me just remind you that you get the microphones going to hear you. Yes.
First, I want to thank the panel for allowing us all to sit in on this very interesting podcast conversation. I have a question for Professor Weissman. Democrats in Congress, specifically John Conyers, admonished your predecessor at the FBI. John Conyers said she broke the law with the national security letters, violating the Fourth Amendment. Can you tell us, did the members of the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence know of your secret 25-year relationship with the intelligence asset Felix Sater when he testified in 2017?
So I don't know Felix Sater.
Really? You signed an agreement with him in 1998 and another one in 2017. It was released in 2019 by The Intercept. Why are you lying to these NYU students, Professor Weissman?
Okay, well, I don't know.
You personally recommended to Robert Mueller. You said in your book that you personally... you said he lied. He said he doesn't know Felix Sater. Read the book that this man wrote. He said that he told Robert Mueller to bring in Felix Sater. Felix Sater is the Russian developer of Trump Tower Moscow. I think you planted an intelligence asset to testify against the rightly elected 45th President of the United States. You, sir, are a fraud. You should be in jail, Andrew Weissman.
Okay, so I've been saying that Felix Sater was an FBI asset because of this agreement that's signed with the Department of Justice. And there, I did say that I think you planted him to testify against Trump. So that's what they're seizing on. That's Sater was never an FBI asset, and he never signed an agreement to testify against Trump. I will concede that I didn't have my hypothesis fully formulated there. He's a DIA asset, and he was inserted into Trump's sphere to play a role in the lawfare game that's against him. But it's true he hasn't specifically testified against Trump. That was an impromptu off the dome yelling at the guy, and I didn't get it 100% right there. But the fully formulated allegation now, and sorry, before I go into that, we'll talk about that during the sponsor exclusive segment, but so he's blocked me now, so he can't see the tweets. But this is the video that Flynn came and interacted with. But this video, it's from months ago. It's from 2023. And why is he interacting with this now? I think it is because they're concerned.
It's May. It's May of last year, right?
It was
When was
from
it?
when I posted it today. This video
okay.
it's from, yeah, you're right, it's from like June or July of last year. So it's almost a year ago. And now he's
So
suddenly
he
interacting with
unblocks
this.
you to interact to this because you use the Felix Sater document.
I don't want to give away what I've
Weissman.
figured out about this, but we're going to talk about it
all
right
right.
now.
That's what I think. At
when
arm's
we
length.
go.
Yeah, you're showing that Andrew Weissman actually does know Sater. They've got an agreement with him. It's in paper. It's on, right? You got the paperwork.
Yeah.
Now, what you're getting at with this posse comitatus stuff is, if the DOJ is doing a deal with a DIA asset,
Breaking the law.
now the question is, do they not know he's a DIA asset?
Of course they know. Of course they know.
That's not okay. Then it's not okay. So, all right, listen, we've got to wrap up, get over to the patron-only portion where we can get into details that we can't really talk about freely here. I'm looking forward to it. I'm John Cullen. This has been Web of Deception. We'll be back with our patrons in just 5 minutes. Thanks for joining.
What you know about rolling down in the deep? When your brain goes numb, you can call a mental freeze. When these people talk too much, put that shit in slow motion. Yeah, I feel like an astronaut in the ocean. Yeah. What you know about rolling down in the deep? When your brain goes numb, you can call a mental freeze. When these people talk too much, put that shit in slow motion. Yeah, I feel like an astronaut. She says that I'm cool. I'm like, yeah, that's true. I believe in G.O.D. Don't believe in T.H.O.D. She keep playing me down. I'ma play her for fun. You don't really know my mental. Let me give you the picture like stencil. Falling down in the drought. No flow rain was pouring down. See that pain was all around. See my mom was kinda loud. Didn't know which way to turn. Flow was cool, but I still felt burned. Energy up, people feel my surge. I'ma kill everything like this bird. What you know about